So a big mode in any sort of American football game, if it's Madden, if it's college football, is the Dynasty mode. This is basically a career manager, and you can build it however you want. So if I was to show you how to do this, so you have a few different ones. You obviously have dynasties that you can search, load and accept invites, and continue and start again. So with this, you have two different Dynasty modes. You have the Cloud Dynasty, which is play online with friends or Dynasty fans. So you can play this in an online league, or you can just do your normal overall, which is your normal offline Dynasty. So for that, I'm going to go with this just in case you don't have anybody to play with. Then that is the natural course that you're going to go with. Maybe you don't want to do online. You're just strictly single player, having a bit of fun. We can obviously change the roster as well. So if you wanted to completely change everything going, you wanted to swap a few people in different teams, you wanted to add some people, then that is absolutely fine. For now, I'm going to use the default roster just because it's what is known at the moment. And then we've got the settings side of stuff. Now this again is down to your personal preference, but just running through a few of the normal ones. You've obviously got your skill level, coach firing, so that is if you want to be fired or not, potential give yourself a bit of risk. You then have the coach XP speed setting, so you can obviously put it at the fastest, the slowest. That again is going to be down to you what you prefer. I'd just stick with normal. If you go a bit further down, you've got injury, wear and tear, the standard. You've got your quarter length clock, which is going to be massive depending on how quickly you want to go with the actual season being done. So if you wanted to be maybe a bit of quick fire games, you can go for like 3 minutes. Anything lower, I know you can go 1 and 2. It might not be enough for a game, to be honest. I wouldn't see the point. I think 3 is the lowest I'd personally go. You've obviously got the accelerated clock on or off, and that's going to be minimum play clock as well. Season experience, you've got the full control, customized. Again, I would probably go towards more full control there. You can put in fact, you can go customize as well, which would be then you can put on the auto recruiting, use coach auto progression as well, if you wanted to make life that little bit easier. We also then have the custom conferences. So this is where you can basically move teams around. You can move California over to the Conference USA, and you can bring somebody in. So you can just move here and they go into there. And then obviously if you wanted to bring them back, you just put them back in there. If you want to swap a team, so for instance, if we swap Duke and Indiana, you can obviously swap them two in there just like that. So I need to remember who I actually moved there. It doesn't necessarily matter too much because obviously you can bring them back as such as well. So you can just press B and you'll just customize them another time. So that is something you can do, which is all dependent on what you want. I've got no answer to say this is the way that you should do it, other than just play it as normal. That's really all you can do from there. But the big question that everybody goes for, other than actually managing the team, is what team do you choose? Do you make life a lot easier for yourself and go for a 5-star giant? You go for the Bulldogs. You go for the highest ranking team on the game, 91s across the ball. Do you maybe go for the number 6 place or the number 8th place on the board? And it's still a 5-star team, but you're kind of not going for the absolute top dogs. Or do you start at the 1 stars? There is no zeros, obviously. And do you build a career out of the Rams? Do you go over to the Eagles? And it will again depend on who you're supporting. If you've got your team in mind, then obviously you'd go for them. But this is kind of now the point of what sort of career mode, dynasty mode do you actually want to have? Is it a progression thing where you want to take the Pirates to a 5-star all-star game? Like, is that what you want to do? Or is it just trying to be the best, have the best recruiter, have the best staff? That is all dependent on what you want to go with. So for instance, if I was to go with the Bulldogs, they're obviously going to be the big ones that you're going for. Now, you've got the head coaches are in charge. You've got then the offensive coordinator and the defensive coordinator. You can pick your role in this. Now, I would always probably go for the head coach, really. But again, if you've got a fan favorite, you could start as an offensive coach for a 1-star team and manage to get yourselves up to the major leagues. But I obviously would go with a head coach. You can make your own, or you can go with Neil, and you can just not have the kind of change for him. You can obviously change him as well in there as well. We'll kind of go over that a little bit. You do sign a 4-year contract to start with. That is just the standard there. There's nothing you can do about that really. And then as you progress through, we'll see more and more. So once you've done all the generic settings sort of stuff, that's the thing to get right, because then it is starting the career, starting the actual mode. And as you'll see to start with, you have your actions, your weekly to-do list. Absolutely love it. Set up recruiting board and scout prospects, custom set schedules, top stories, and then you can advance, which I like that you can keep advancing just wherever you want really. You can sim to off season, sim to the national signing day, and you can obviously just have different points of the career or season that you can actually do. So then we have all of the other options to go with. You have a few different stats. You have the coach abilities, so you can see where your coach is going to go. So obviously with Neil, he's the motivator, and as you'll see, he'll grow together, gain XP when a player levels up, and that will again get you the master motivator. Have 5 players drafted. That is what you need for that one. All of them have different attributes. So obviously with the architect, you need to win 4 rival games, win 10 top 25 games for the tactician. Strategist, you need to show don't tell, perfect blend of X's and O's. I suppose that is just kind of just bonus XP for each prospect visiting for maybe that's it. Maybe you just get that. Okay, that's interesting. Then you got the elite recruiter, sign 2 top 5 recruiting classes, and then obviously for this one you've got to have 2 players drafted in the first round. That's talent developer. We also then have the program builder, obviously winning together, and then the final one is the CEO, elite head coach who has won a national title. A head coach who can oversee everything. And what's this one? Do we get any put players in positions to succeed on game day? Oh no, it's not that one. It's perfect blend of X and O's. Okay, so it'll be interesting regardless. But in terms of this, you've got your talent of where you want to go. We also then have the offensive coordinator and the defensive. They have obviously their different kind of strategist points that you can go with, and that's just going to be progress through your game sort of thing. You then have the coach XP goals, so this is how you level up your coach. So you can see you've got XP awarded times completed, so this is going to be different things that you can get. That is draft goals. You also then have game goals, which is going to give you XP per match, recruiting goals, and stat goals. So all of these are going to be in different parts of your career, and it will kind of help towards your overall level. We also then have the coach contract, which we already know. We have the playbook that we can go with. So obviously with a actual team, they will have their own. You can obviously change a few things. They'll have a couple that you can go with. And obviously then the defensive playbook, again, you'll have a few different ones you can tally through. So depending on what you want to play, that is going to be the big thing. We also have the edit coach, which is as standard. That is, if you've picked a coach, I can actually change him completely. So I can even change his name, which, I mean, I get it doesn't really make that much of a difference, to be honest, but normally when you go in for a real person, you don't normally get to change it, but you can in this, which is always perfect. We then have the team, you have the depth chart, you have the view roster, and also the red shirts. Again, this is going to be managing red shirts here. Players can play in up to 4 games, still get red shirted. You also then have, like I say, all of the charts that you can go through, and it depends on the level of depth that you really want to go. So you can reorder these. So if I wanted to go 1 and down, you can put the order back. Do you want to reorder the entire depth chart? Yes, please. So the depth chart was back to normal as such. So say if you make a mistake, you move somebody and you forgot where they go, then obviously you can do that. We also have more stats, which is nice. Season stats, career stats, team stats, coach stats, and records. And then obviously the Dynasty Central. So this is going to have the league settings. So maybe you've gone with a 3 minutes and thought, you know what, it's not enough time. I can then bump it back up to 4. Not a problem. It's a good thing that we have throughout the whole of this. We then move into the XP sliders, so this is all dependent on what you want for your players. So you can obviously go, say, quarterbacks, maybe that's what you're lacking in, you're just not getting enough XP. You can make it 300 times what they normally get for XP. But again, that goes down to what you personally want, and you can obviously default everything as well. You can do the whole ones here, so every single position will get a different XP boost if you should choose. You can put all of them on 300 if you want, but again, it all depends on what you want to do. So if you are wanting to go with a 1-star team, but you don't want to go through the slog of having to go from like 60 and 70 ratings all the way up to 90s. You can whack that XP slider on, get them there a bit quicker, maybe get to a mid-season where you're like, okay, I've gone through all of the rubbish, and then you can start bringing it down kind of as they get too far up, because realistically, it's going to be too easy otherwise if you are just ranking up that XP. We also have then the gameplay sliders, which is our standard, so you've got your different player skills. This will be for the computer and your player, depending on how hard or easy you want to make it. User settings, which is going to be more aimed towards, I can imagine, the kind of actual in-game stuff. Again, when you go online, there'll be a few different things that you can't change, because obviously you can't make the sliders in your favor and not your opponent's, so it will be all defaulted to an online sort of game, so it will just be what it is. And I think as well the quarter lengths might be able to be changed at the start, but that is kind of different. We also then have manage the members, so that'd be for online, and then also you have the retire. So if you just want to get rid of it and you don't want it in there, you can just retire from here. It is what it is. So then you've got to set up the prospects and kind of go with what you want. Obviously, if you wanted to add a prospect, you've got to go to the prospect list. So for instance, if I was to go for Flowers, obviously I press A and then he'll be in my list. So I could go with a few names, and then obviously that will set it up. But then you've obviously got to go through the recruiting board, which is a little bit over. So you've got the transfer portal over here. This is going to be unavailable at the moment during the off season. Then you've got My School, and then you've obviously got top classes as well. So the recruiting board is just sent up here, as you can see. You can see all of the names that I've put down. We can obviously tap on them, have a look at a few things, and then kind of make what we really want. So if we're looking at this, you can obviously add more prospects or just keep it as normal. So if I want to reorder them or not, it depends on what we're going for. So as we look for the recruiting, we can offer, we can go with that, and that will add another action, schedule visit if we really wanted to, and it depends on the level of talent that we are going for. So if we're going for somebody who is picked to be top one in the game, then you might want to obviously go for a bit more of an action. But as you can see, visits will become available once the recruit has narrowed down to his top 5 schools. Then obviously you can offer the scholarship, add the action, so there's multiple things that you can do once you're in there. So just a few things that you can do there, and then pretty much after that, other than then the custom schedules, which is going to be the matches, you can obviously chop and change a few things. You've got open days, but obviously a lot of them are going to be locked, so you'd have to kind of see what sort of matches you've got going on. After that, it pretty much is ready for game time. Once you've sorted all of that out, you can obviously then sim to the first poll, and you can just keep going ahead, and it will just then start your career. Play matches, recruit, deal with XP boosts, deal with management stuff, and that is the best way that you can set this up. So hopefully this did help. If you have any more tips for anybody down below, if you're a veteran of this game mode, leave them in the comments, and hopefully everybody can have a good time this year.